Hello, my name is Reinhard Schiemann. I'm a senior research scientist at the National Center for Atmospheric Science here at the Department of Meteorology at the University of Reading. My research interest is in weather and climate extremes, and in particular also in how well these extremes are represented in global climate models. We conduct the assessment of these global climate models in both a statistical way, where we ask how often do the extremes occur, how strong are the associated hazards, and then we compare the model with observations with nature in order to evaluate it. But importantly, we also conduct what we call process-based evaluation. So where we really want to understand the physics, the phenomena that are behind the weather extremes that occur, and understand the laws of nature that govern the occurrence of these events. In the project suggested here, we will follow the same dual approach. The project is about the role that post-tropical cyclones play for Europe. As the name says, post-tropical cyclones, they originate in the tropics. In the North Atlantic, tropical storms typically form around here at low latitudes off the coast of Africa. And these storms in the Atlantic, also called hurricanes, they then track to the west towards Central America, or sometimes a bit in a more northerly direction towards North America. North Atlantic tropical cyclones as such do not affect Europe. But some of them, they recurve quite early and they move outside the tropics. And as they do so, they transform into a mid-latitude, an extratropical storm. And when they do that, we refer to them as a post-tropical cyclone. And indeed, some of those post-tropical cyclones can reach Europe. And some of them have become quite well known in the media, for example, because they were associated with strong impacts. One such storm, Ophelia, hit Ireland in autumn 2017. And indeed, Ophelia caused a lot of economic disruption and even loss of life. Now, what is interesting is that there has been this fairly big attention to these individual events, but at the same time we understand very little about the climatological role post-tropical cyclones play for Europe. So we don't really know very well how often they occur, how special they are compared with the overall set of storms reaching Europe. And this is one of the first questions we will want to answer in this PhD project. We will then also go on and investigate the physical processes a bit more. We will ask questions like, do strong post-tropical cyclones originate from strong tropical cyclones? Or is it other factors, like the North Atlantic sea surface temperatures or the circulation in the mid-latitude, that are more important in forming the character of a post-tropical storm? And then an important question that will come up is the question of climate change. It is particularly topical for post-tropical cyclones because it has been suggested that as the North Atlantic warms, more of these systems may reach Europe in a future climate. And that is obviously something to determine robustly because they are associated with these surface impacts from the wind or from the storm surges. And so far, this hypothesis has not been tested very thoroughly, and that's one thing we will want to do in this PhD project. So why is it that we know so little about these systems in the first place? Part of the answer is technical. We simulate tropical storms with global climate models, but in order to do that, we needed, as a community, to develop very costly, high-resolution climate models. And that has only been possible in recent years. Here at the National Centre for Atmospheric Science and in close collaboration with the UK Met Office, we have developed one such model that is able to simulate tropical cyclones more realistically. And for this PhD project, we will use one set of such high-resolution climate simulations for analysis. In terms of the student we are looking for somebody with a background in physics or math or a closely related science subject, and obviously somebody with a keen interest in studying storms, both their physics and their impacts on the ground. There will be a considerable amount of data analysis and computer programming involved, but at the same time, we are very experienced here in helping with training these skills if you don't come with all these skills from the start. A particular training opportunity I would like to mention is that the National Centre for Atmospheric Science organizes a summer school in climate modeling. The entry for that school is competitive, but the opportunity to apply will come up within the lifetime of the project. So to conclude, I'm very enthusiastic about this project. I think it is a nice chance to close an interesting gap in our physical knowledge about European weather. And at the same time, it is a project with very tangible impacts on the ground for society. And I look forward to receiving applications for it to get started. Thank you.